So today I want to test out every single legendary weapon in the game to see what type of damage they do against the new arc in the weak spot and what the armor penetration is like with each of them weapons. So let's hop right into it. I have the legendary equalizer on me to start this one out, and we are indeed going to go and fight the arc turbine to see how well this gun holds up. So let's make our way a little bit center of the map here to see if there's any spawns of the arc turbine. Alright, so the arc turbine just spawned. We have our equalizer on us. We're going to go over and test this weapon out against the new arc turbine. Now I want to test the weak spot first, so let's see if we can get one of these turbines to land. And then we can go over and shoot it into the weak spot to see what type of damage we can do with the equalizer. Okay, there is the sweet spot right in there. See the amount of damage we can do here. Okay, that's a full clip there. 784 damage is what we're looking at with the equalizer into the weak spot. Now, the good thing about the equalizer is we can just continuously break off the armor here. And that can expose the weak spot as well, but it just takes a little bit longer because he is covered in armor. One thing when fighting the turbine is you have to be so careful when you're out in the open here like so. This is going to do a ton of damage. 126 damage directly into the armor. Okay, so when the lights are blinking blue like that, that means that he is out of combat and he is getting ready to set down. He's putting down his mines, that's what that means. So he's going to land here again and we can go over and try do a little bit more damage into the weak spot once again. The turbine is down, weak spot is exposed. Let's tag him up. Full clip there. 1120. That's even more than the first time. Now that was right into the sweet spot. So as you can see, the equalizer actually does feel pretty good. Over 1000 damage there when you're hitting them directly into the sweet spot, which ain't bad. Now 406 there on the very bottom, which pretty decent damage as well. So the bottom actually is a good spot to be aiming with your legendary weapons if you can get an angle on it. Now we're a little bit away, but this is the best position without me getting absolutely lit up. Let's tag up the weak spot again. Full mag. 1300, even more damage again. He is flaming up, so he's close enough to being taken down. We can probably take him down now by just shooting at his armor spots. So the equalizer definitely felt really good fighting against the arc turbine. Really good armor penetration and also really good damage done to the core as well. The fact that I can sit there and consecutively fire a full mag into his weak spot is really good. It's a really good way to take him down if you have a little bit of patience and you wait for him to land. Maybe 3 or 4 times if you wait for him to land. You don't even have to shoot him in the armor, you can just aim in the weak spot. Now the only bad thing about using the equalizer is if he is over, I think it's around 200 to 250 meters away, you won't do any damage as that is the max range on the equalizer. Overall, solid legendary weapon for fighting the arc turbine. Alright, so we have the APHELION on us this time, and we do indeed have an arc turbine over here. So let's make our way over towards this arc turbine and see if we can get this set down and then see what type of damage we can do by hitting it directly into the weak spot with the APHELION. Okay, so arc turbine has set himself down right here in front of me. Let's see if we can climb up here and do a little bit of damage with this APHELION. 10 shots we've got, which is technically 5 because the gun shoots 2 bullets per shot. So right into the weak spot. There we go. $195. That's terrible. We're going to see if we can get him to set down again here. At 215 that time, it's a little bit better. $466. It's a little bit better. Let's see if we can hit it in the second weak spot, which is the very bottom. Okay, let's see. Into the bottom spot. This is another weak spot. 290. Probably could have got a little bit more if we were a bit more direct with them shots. Alright, we have them settled down here. Let's see. Into the weak spot again. Directly into the weak spot. $470. $475. Let's see if we can get 5 more shots in here really quick. $310. Close enough to 800 damage there. Over 800 damage. And another 340. It's the reload. It's the reload that's catching you off with this gun. It's actually, you know, it's not the worst if you can find a position and then continuously shoot them into the weak spot from that position. But it is rough enough to always be in a position where you're not going to get tagged up by the turbine to be able to get them shots off. You really need to be in a really good position. Like that is getting in, that's coming in the window on top of me there. That's how good of a shot this guy has. So after fighting the arc turbine as a solo with the APHELION, I felt like I definitely did struggle a little bit. I even had a kinetic converter on this thing for a quicker fire rate, and I still definitely felt like I struggled. The only good thing I felt about the APHELION against this arc is the fact that sometimes when I was shooting it from range, it actually wasn't even shooting at me. It didn't really bother. And also when it was in the position where it had its core exposed, I find that it didn't fly off half as much when I was using the APHELION, giving me a little bit more time to get a good few shots off. Now, will the APHELION be one of my go-to picks when fighting this arc? Absolutely not, but not as bad as you would think. Alright, we have another arc turbine spawned in here, so we're gonna go test out this whole Jupiter and see how well this does against it. Now, I know personally the Jupiter is gonna be really, really good. Let's make our way southwest. Now, the really good thing about the Jupiter is you can actually sit from a distance and keep attacking the arc turbines. Alright, the arc turbine is down, weak spot is exposed. 374. Gotta back up here, and then another 20. We must have just missed them there. I think we can definitely get a little bit more damage here with the Jupiter. I think the Jupiter will be a little bit like the APHELION for doing damage to the weak spot. It does have a slow rate of fire, but the good thing about the Jupiter is it's really good at tearing the armor apart. We're going to get reloaded here and hit the tag up the bottom and see what type of damage we can do in the second weak spot. Like, we can sit from here and take them out. That's the really good thing about this weapon. So, second weak spot, let's see what we can do. 172, we can definitely get a little bit more on that. 166, I'd say if we were a bit closer now, the damage would be even higher. Ooh, and a 142, but this is where the Jupiter shines, to be honest. Is you can sit from a distance and spray them down. Now, we are going to make our way over here. I want them to sit down again, so we can put in a little bit more damage. Alright, let's move over and do a little bit of damage here. 4 is exposed. Let's see. 270. Again. Now, if you're quick enough, you can actually tag them multiple times with the Jupiter, but you gotta be very quick. That is the only hard part about it. Now, there's a 297 to the second weak spot there, which is very good damage. That is very good damage. 225. Like, where the Jupiter shines is you can just sit so far back and do so much damage to him from far back. You can even be this far back where he won't do any damage to you. That's how good this gun is right now against the Arc Turbine. It will be a lot longer to kill him, obviously, as you're going to be doing a lot less damage. In a terrible position here for this. 306 on that one. It's a little bit more than last time. It really all depends how quick and how good of a position you have. How much damage you can deal with the Jupiter, to be honest. To the weak spot, that is. But I reckon you could definitely get around 1500 damage if you connected with all 5 shots directly to the weak spot with this legendary weapon. So as I was saying about the Jupiter is you can actually just sit far back with this weapon and you won't even take any damage. Something similar to the APHELION, only the Jupiter is going to be doing a lot more damage. And there he goes. That is the Jupiter versus the Arc Turbine. Absolutely insane weapon for fighting the Arc Turbine right now, as you can play it so safe when using this weapon. Like, you can sit so far back, as you've seen there. I'm just sitting far back, popping shots off with the Jupiter. Definitely will be using the Jupiter to fight this Arc. Alright, so for the final legendary weapon, we do indeed have the DOLABRA. Now, I think this thing personally is going to be pretty useless against the new Arc. It's going to be very difficult to fight the new Flying Dorito when the DOLABRA is mainly used close range. Now, we shall see what it's like. I'm going to go test it. I am promising that I'm going to be able to kill it with the DOLABRA. As when fighting this Arc, you do have to generally be always in cover. And it's really down to what location this Arc is going to land at and where I'm going to have to fight it. Because if I'm fighting it out in the open, I think I'm going to struggle a little bit. But let's see. Let's go find ourselves an Arc Turbine and fight it with the new DOLABRA and see what type of damage we can put out. Alright, here we go. This is our time to put this new DOLABRA to the test. Can we hit him from here? Four shots off. 37 damage. We're obviously hitting him in the armor. Alright, here we go again. Alright, let me see now. Run. Don't know what type of damage we done there. I don't even think my damage popped up. We tagged him a good few times there with the DOLABRA right into the weak spot as well. So rewatch that and see. I feel like my damage didn't even pop up there. I did indeed rewatch it and we done 488 damage, which isn't actually too bad. In such an awkward spot. Look where we have to fight him there. So awkward. This should be good. Alright, 216 and a 38. That is terrible. Very awkward position, making it super hard here to get an angle on him. Two eight. That's actually decent. That's like 416 damage there from 2 shots. That actually, do you know what? If the DOLABRA wasn't so hard to fight him, it actually would be decent. I think he could easily hit 1000 damage. It's just such an awkward fight. But overall, I really don't think using the DOLABRA is going to be the play against the new Arc Turbine. It's just way too hard, way too awkward to fight him. The thing is constantly moving, and it's such a short-range weapon. Maybe it was just my skill with the DOLABRA that I'm just not good with it, but I did not enjoy it at all. It was very, very awkward to fight him with because of the low range. Maybe I should have been holding down the trigger a little bit longer, but even so, the range on it is still pretty terrible for this sort of fight. So after using all 4 legendary weapons to kill the new Arc Turbine, I would definitely recommend using either a Jupiter or an Equalizer. I actually really did enjoy the Equalizer. Now it all does come down to your type of playstyle and what weapon you like to use. Personally, I think Equalizer is really, really good if you have a little bit of patience, wait until he drops down, and then you can pump in 1000 damage easily into his core. With the Jupiter, you can also do the same, but you can also play at a lot further back range with the Jupiter, giving you that little bit of an advantage where you're not going to take any damage. The only problem with playing that range, it's going to be hard to get in and loot them. But that is all for now. Hope you enjoyed this little bit of content. Stay safe out there, and I will talk to you in the next one.